Here we have a SAT math problem. Okay, let's cover the question. In the given system of equations, m is a constant. If the system has no solution, what is the value of m? Okay, before we start solving this problem, let's consider your stuff. That is a system of two linear equations in standard form. Let me write a linear equation standard form. That is a1x positive b1y equals to c1. We say this is linear equation standard form because we have x term and y term on one side of the equation, constant on the other side of the equation. Let me consider another linear equation in standard form, that is a2x positive b2y equals to c2. Now let me get the ratio of the coefficients of x, that is a1 over a2, ratio of the coefficients of y, b1 over b2, ratio of the constant terms, c1 over c2. Okay, if the system of two linear equations in standard form has no solution, then the ratio of the coefficients of x, the ratio of the coefficients of y will be equal, and both these ratios will not be equal to the ratio of the constant terms. Okay, if I want to use this stuff over here for the given system of two linear equations, I have to write both the linear equations in standard form. Then I have to apply the stuff what we have discussed over here to get the value of m, because for the given system there is no solution. Okay, now to write each equation in standard form, we have to get rid of the fractions which we have in both the equations. Now let me consider the first equation over here. First, let's try to get rid of the fractions. For that, we have to consider the denominators we have over here. I find three different denominators, 3, 5 and 6. Okay, now let me get the least common multiplier for these three denominators, 3, 5 and 6. Okay, get a common divisor, greatest common divisor for all these three numbers other than 1. There is no greatest common divisor other than 1 for all these three numbers. Then let's try to get a greatest common divisor at least for two numbers. I think there is a greatest common divisor for 3 and 6. There is 3. Let's divide by 3. When I divide this 3 by 3, I am getting 1. 5 is not divisible by 3. We can write this 5 as it is. And when we divide this 6 by 3, I am getting 2. Now, there is no greatest common divisor for all the three numbers over here. Even for at least two numbers, there is no greatest common divisor other than 1. Now we have to stop the process and multiply the numbers over here. That is 3 times 1 is 3, 3 times 5 is 15, 15 times 2 is 30. So 30 is the least common multiplier for the denominators we have over here in the first equation. Let's multiply both sides of this equation to get rid of all the denominators. That is 30 times 2 over 5 times x, positive 4 over 3 times y equals to 30 times 5 over 6, negative 4 over 3 times y. Okay, let's distribute this 30 to the terms over here. Then we get 30 times 2 over 5 times x, positive 30 times 4 over 3 times y. And we can distribute 30 over here. Then we get 30 times 5 over 6, negative 30 times 4 over 3 times y. Okay, here 5 goes into 5 one times and 5 goes into 30 6 times. Here 3 goes into 3 one times and 3 goes into 30 10 times. And here 6 goes into 6 one times and 6 goes into 30 5 times. And 3 goes into 3 one times, 3 goes into 30 10 times. Okay, here 6 times 2x is 12x. Positive 10 times 4y is 40y equals to 5 times 5 is 25. Negative 10 times 4y is 40y. Okay, now let me add 40y to both sides of the equation. Then this negative 40y, positive 40y will cancel out. I'm getting 12x. Positive 80y equals to 25. I got the first equation in standard form. That is, we have x term and y term on one side of the equation on the left side and constant term on the right side. Now let me erase this stuff and get the second equation in standard form. In the second equation, we find two different denominators, 6 and 7. The least common multiple of 6 and 7 is 42. Let's multiply both sides of the equation by 42 to get rid of the denominators. That is 42 times 7 over 6 times x, positive 11 over 6 equals to 42 times my, positive 2 over 7. Okay, now we can distribute this 42 over here. Then we get 42 times 7 over 6 times x, positive 42 times 11 over 6 equals to, we can distribute 42 over here. Then we get 42 times m times y, positive 42 times 2 over 7. Okay, here 6 goes into 6 one times and 6 goes into 42 7 times. And here 6 goes into 6 one times, 6 goes into 42 7 times. And 7 goes into 7 one times and 7 goes into 42 6 times. 7 times 7x is 49x and positive 7 times 11 is 77. 42 my, positive 6 times 2 is 12. let me subtract 42 my from both sides of the equation. Let me do it. And also subtract 77 from both sides of this equation. Then this positive value, negative value will cancel out. The same here, we get 49x and negative 42 my on the left side. On the right side, when I combine positive 12 and negative 77, I am getting negative 65. I got the second equation in standard form. There is x term and y term on the left side of the equation, constant on the other side of the equation. Now let me erase the stuff and continue the problem. Now we have both the linear equations in standard form. Let me get the ratio of the coefficients of x, that is 12 over 49. The ratio of the coefficients of y, that is 80 over negative 42 times m. The ratio of the constant terms are 25 over negative 65. Already we have discussed their stuff over here. That is when two linear equations are given in standard form, and if the system has no solution, the ratio of the coefficients of x, the ratio of the coefficients of y will be equal, and both these ratios will not be equal to the ratio of the constant terms. Here we have two linear equations in standard form, and according to the information, the system has no solution. Then the ratio of the coefficients of x, the ratio of the coefficients of y will be equal, and these two ratios will not be equal to the ratio of the constant terms. Okay, since these two ratios are equal, we can consider this particular stuff, and now we have to solve for m in this equation. Let's do cross multiplication. That is, we have to multiply the numerator over here by this denominator. Then we get 12 times negative 42m, and we have to multiply this numerator by this denominator. Then we get 49 times 80. Okay, now let me multiply this 12 and negative 42 using calculator. Let me do it. So 12 times 42 is 504. That is negative 504 m equals to, let me multiply 49 and 80. Okay, 49 times 80 is I am getting 3920. Let me write over here. Now let me divide both sides of the equation by negative 504. Okay, here negative 504, negative 504 cancel out. Then we get m equals to negative, we can take this negative sign over here, 3920 divided by 504. Now we can go to Desmos graphing calculator to get the simplified form of this fraction. Let me give this fraction as input, that is negative 3920 divided by 504. Okay, let me get this one in fraction form. Okay, here I got the simplified form of the fraction over here, that is a negative 70 over 9. Okay, if I want to get the decimal form for this one, let's click on here. I am getting a negative 7.777. It keeps going. It's a long decimal. And the question does not say that we have to round our answer to the nearest tenth or nearest hundredth. So let's keep our answer in fraction form. So the simplified form of this fraction is negative 70 over 9. Therefore, the value of m is negative 70 over 9.